Thank you so much for joining us on Apex One Radio. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you find yourself across the globe. Welcome to this segment of broadcast, which will begin with a special news flash here on Apex One Radio. And so, once again, thank you so much. My name is Ernest Kanjo. Welcome to this special news flash on Apex One Radio, which begins with this breaking news item. Ohio now has a new lieutenant governor. Jim Tressel was appointed by Governor Mike DeWine today to replace John Husted, who served in that capacity, being appointed as U.S. until he was appointed into the U.S. Senate in January, replacing J.D. Vance. According to the New Americans magazine, the former OSU football coach recently served as the president of Youngstown State University before retiring in 2023. Tressel also served 15 years as the head coach of Youngstown State University's football team before becoming head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes for 10 seasons. After leaving Ohio State, he served as executive vice president for student success at the University of Akron. The New Americans magazine reported that Jim Tressel was humble as he accepted the appointment, stating that he believes in Mike DeWine and what the governor believes in. Tressel promised that for the next 699 days to have a singleness of purpose and singleness of focus, which is to serve the needs that the governor outlined in today's session where he was appointed. Now, Jim Tressel must be confirmed by the Ohio Senate and Ohio House representatives before he finally takes over office. Joining us tonight to analyze this story is Deba Uwadiea. Deba is the editor-in-chief and publisher of the New Americans magazine. Deba, good evening and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Right. So Ohio has been busily moving. We saw former Senator J.D. Vance moved to the White House as vice president following the election of Donald Trump. Then we also saw John Husted move from the State House to the Senate to replace the former. And today it was Tressel moving from retirement to the State House. So with J.D. Vance's move, it is understood that it was easy. But I would imagine that the two other moves, that of John Husted and Tressel, might have kept the governor, awake all these weeks. Because, as you know, replacing this or having replacements for these two positions was definitely not an easy task for the governor. Am I correct, Deba?
Yeah, you are very correct. Because even the appointments caught a lot of people, by surprise. It's not the politician, that people would have expected him to take. He's even in retirement, and so when the news broke, it caught a lot of people, by surprise. They didn't expect, the governor to probably go beyond the cycle of politicians. But one thing I can say is that it's good for the governor because the governor had built a very strong relationship with the former lieutenant governor and Lieutenant John Husted. And so he needs someone that will be able to continue, where Husted stopped. And he needed someone that he can trust. And so I'm sure he looked around and he just thought that, yes, this person is somebody I can trust. So he went for him. And like you rightly said, it must have been a difficult, effort, in getting somebody to replace former Lieutenant Governor John Husted. And
Just to say that Deba Uwadiea is State House reporter here in Ohio. So, Deba, in your story in the New Americans magazine a couple of hours ago, you mentioned that Governor DeWine said that Tressel's background in education, workforce development, and economic development played a large role in his decision to ask the latter to take over as Lieutenant Governor of Ohio. Now, apart from this reason, what else do you think would have contributed to this appointment?
I think it's if you look at the resume, you realize that he was a former coach, a football coach, and so when you are a football coach, it means that you are somebody who wants to win. You don't coach not to win; you coach to want to win, and so this I believe was one of the qualities that the governor must have noticed and said, look, if I need to win in the remaining 2 years that I have to serve as governor of Ohio State, I need somebody that can drive it, somebody that believes in what he is doing as a governor and what the state is doing. And so he probably noticed that. Like when the governor was sharing about it at the State House today, the governor said, he actually recognized him when he was serving in Youngstown as president of Youngstown, that he saw the quality he has, and so he said, yes, this person is someone that can turn things around, because while he was president, of Youngstown University, he was able to turn around a lot of things, increase the students' admission to the school, ensure that students, stay long, and students are able to complete, their education instead of the dropout rate that had been experienced before then. Then also he was able to get a lot of fund, for the school. And so he saw this as, qualities that he can, apply when he takes him up as, when he picks him up as as lieutenant governor of the state.
You just mentioned football, and I would want to imagine that there are so many other football teams in the state of Ohio. But when we reflect on the pivotal role this game and precisely the Buckeyes play in the life of Ohio, one would quickly grasp the impression that Tressel's appointment could be related to his relationship with the Buckeyes. To what extent can this be true?
Yes, part of it, because when he came, Buckeye had never won a national championship, in football. And so when he came, I think it was in came in early 2000. And 2 years after that, he was able to win a national championship. And he took them to national finals like three times. And so these are very important resume that you can look at in picking someone. And so that in effect could also be part of the reason why he chose him, because you have a lot of schools, a lot of universities in United States, that play football.
Right.
Exactly. And so for you to get to national championship, especially 3 times, and able to win it once, it's a big accomplishment. And so that probably was part of it. And you will also notice that after he retired from Ohio, he moved to University of Akron, and so he was able to be an executive vice president for success of students. And so that must have helped him also in being able to not just being a sports person. Now he becomes a manager of resources, human and the academic resources, especially in a big environment like a university.
Right.
So all this must be part of
So Mike DeWine, according to the New Americans magazine, said Jim has spent a great deal of time working with AIN, leading young people. AIN, he'll be involved directly with education and workforce development during the remaining 2 years of my administration. So that was the governor of Ohio speaking earlier today when he was announcing his appointment of Jim Tressel to the public. How much importance does the Ohio state government accord to the youth?
Yeah, a lot. Like I tell you, since his first time, the governor is in his second term now, and so he can only serve 2 terms, and he has already served 2 years and so he has 2 more years to go. One thing about the governor is that every year that he's reading his budget, he's focusing on youth development. And up to now, the emphasis is on youth development because he believes that the youth, the future belongs to the youth, and so he's developing that base, and investing a lot in that base, and that is why, since he's become governor, a lot of businesses, had really come to Ohio, especially the big ones. Like you have Google here, you can Google. You have the youth to work in the IT industry. You have Google, you have Facebook, you have Amazon, and so you even have Intel. That is, the construction work is still going on, and so all these businesses, they need the youth, and so. But if you don't have that workforce, if you don't develop that workforce, all these businesses will not come. And so he's a governor that is looking at the future, and he's a grand parent, and so he's looking at this and he's focusing on the youth. At the high school level, he has what we call Innovate Ohio, where, and he has also technical programs that he has for high school and for colleges, and so that's universities. So all these programs that are helping to empower the youth so that they can have opportunity to work, and so this is why he's focusing on the youth. And so he look at somebody that John Husted has been handling most of these things, and so now he looked at somebody that could also handle them. And so there's no other person than somebody that has been a coach, that has worked with youths, especially students in the university.
Right. You are listening to a special news flash on Apex One Radio. We are analyzing the appointment of Jim Tressel as new Lieutenant General or Governor of the state of Ohio. That appointment was announced today by Governor Mike DeWine. And joining us tonight to throw more light on this is State House reporter Deba Uwadiea, who doubles as editor-in-chief of the New Americans magazine. Now, Deba, who is a lieutenant governor and what are his duties?
Yeah, lieutenant governor is an assistant to the governor, and so he works hand in hand with the governor. And the duties, for as where there is no issue, the duties are assigned by governor. Things he can do. Like where the governor feels that, okay, he needs somebody that can really drive this, instead of, if he cannot be there, and so he works on that. And so when you look at the Innovate Ohio things, when you look at the Ohio jobs, Ohio development, so these are areas that the governor can ask the lieutenant governor, to lead, like in the office of the governor, there's what we call the office, the governor office for workforce transformation. And so that governor's office for workforce transformation is actually headed by a director, and that director is the lieutenant governor.
So if the governor decides to resign or step down, whatever reason, the lieutenant governor becomes the new governor.
Exactly. He's running as.
So he's like second in command in state hierarchy.
Exactly.
Okay.
Ohio State.
So lieutenant governors also elected, or they are only appointed?
They are elected. They actually run together.
Okay.
Anytime the governor is running, he must have a lieutenant governor running with him. So
it's a typically politically partisan position.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. In Ohio State, in some states, it's not like that. The lieutenant governor is running, differently with the governor. But in Ohio State, they run together, just like you have the president and the vice president running together. So it's a running mate it's a running mate of the governor of the state. Yeah,
that's interesting. So, what is one of the biggest assignments of the state of Ohio, which Jim Tressel will have to be dealing with during this 699 days?
Exactly. It's that workforce development. It's very important because in the next 2 years we should have Intel on board, fully on board, and all over the world, not just in America, all over the world, focus is on Intel, manufacturing chips, which is very important in the IT industry, and so everybody is looking at that, and so the lieutenant governor, we be in charge of that, ensuring that things are going on smoothly, and that whatever development, whatever support that they need to ensure that that area where is being built is improved on, he can always, be very close to the governor to let the governor know, and that is one. And also, like I said, all these businesses will not just come without the resources, human resources there to service them. And so the current effort that is being made to ensure that students are trained in school, and that so that when they graduate, they can go into all these businesses, is also something that the lieutenant governor will be driving, because former Lieutenant Governor John Husted has been driving it. And, the governor, a lot of times will not be able to travel we have 88 counties. And so the governor will not be able to be visiting all these counties to promote and inform people about what he's doing. And so the lieutenant governor has that responsibility to go around to continue to promote what the governor is doing, to continue to assure people that the state is listening and hearing them, and also the state is ready to work and support wherever they can, so that people who are living in the state can have a better life.
So apparently some other important Ohio State officials, in accordance with the governor's decision to pick Jim Tressel as the new lieutenant governor, what accounts for this full support which Mike DeWine is getting from this decision?
Yeah, like I said, it could have been, we know with politicians, there can be, division.
Mm.
And so when you take from this camp, the other camp might just oppose it.
Mm.
And so that's why I like the strategic move by the governor to pick from outside that cycle of politicians.
Mhm.
And so that is why you are seeing the support, now that you are getting from the Ohio Chambers of Commerce, from
Mhm.
even the speaker, of the House. And so when you have the speaker of the House supporting uh, this choice, then
Mhm.
you know that yes, it's a done deal. I
Mhm.
say that because the governor has nominated him. He cannot start work until it's confirmed by the Ohio Congress. So he
Mhm.
has.
When you heard Jim Tressel speak earlier
Yeah.
today, and when we watched, him physically,
Yeah.
did you have the impression that this is a man who is headed for success?
He prior to 20, I think prior to 2012 or so, it was a very popular person in Ohio.
Mhm.
Though this time it was in sports,
Mhm.
and Ohio State, we love football.
Right.
So it's just that you don't you can't relate because people knew him with sports,
Mhm.
and so you are kind of boxed into that. Nobody wants to see you in any other, and so unfortunately, what he has done in education in terms of administration, serving
Mhm.
in University of Akron, serving in Youngstown University, didn't really come up, like we would have thought.
Mhm.
The way it became popular, the way it was popular in sports, and so. But when I saw him today, and taking that responsibility, it just shows that even in retirement, he's still ready to go.
Mhm.
And so for someone like that, he he is not what I would say complete retirement.
Mhm.
And so now the state has called on him, come and serve, and you can see the way he took it up. He took up the challenge,
Mhm.
and I believe that he's someone that we deliver,
Mhm.
in his in this challenge that he has been given.
This is Apex One Radio. You're listening to a special news flash, and we are analyzing the appointment of a new lieutenant governor for the state of Ohio, which was announced today by Governor Mike DeWine. Jim Tressel is former Ohio State University football team coach, and of course, he joins the executive office today, uh, and will have 699 days to prove himself. And so
Yeah.
he must be confirmed by the Ohio Senate and the Ohio House of Representatives before he actually gets into office to begin his duties. Can you explain that, Deba?
Yeah, the constitution, of Ohio State, mandates that if there is a situation where a lieutenant governor is unable to complete his term, the
Mhm.
governor can appoint a replacement. But it's not just for the replacement to walk in. That replacement will have to
Confirmed.
be kind of screened,
Mhm.
by the House, as the House
Mhm.
of Reps and the Senate
Mhm.
of Ohio State. And so when they do that, they will now formally approve. And
Mhm.
when they approve, he can now begin work.
So I would have thought that that exercise takes place before the governor comes out and announces that he's had a new lieutenant governor. But then apparently it's the other way around. What if the Ohio Senate and the House of Reps uh, you know,
Turn,
don't approve of
okay.
this appointment, what happens?
All right. So, like I was saying earlier, the Senate actually is the Senate president
Mhm,
uh, is actually the one that has come out to say that is in support, and that's
mhm,
Senator Rob McCauley. And so,
mhm,
we see that okay with the Senate president's support, we are sure of him, going. But the advantage that the governor has in Ohio State is that both houses of assembly are controlled by
the
the
Republican Party.
Republican Party, and the
Mhm,
governor is from Republican Party, and
mhm,
they all know that when there is a vacancy, especially uh, at United States Senate,
mhm,
that it's the governor, that we appoint somebody there. And so when
mhm,
the governor appoints somebody, if the person is also a serving person here in elected position,
mhm,
there will be a need for a replacement also.
mhm,
And so what happened was, the governor uh, appointed his lieutenant governor
mhm,
to fill that position that was left by um, now Vice President J.D. Vance, who was
mhm,
a senator as at that time. And so,
mhm,
uh, because this position opened, everybody is aware that it will have to be filled, and
mhm,
it will also have to be filled by somebody from Ohio State.
mhm.
And I'm sure the both houses they know the importance of this, and so I don't think it will be difficult for um, him to get that
And so
over by.
the former Lieutenant Governor of Ohio, John Husted, moved into the U.S. Senate to replace J.D. Vance, who became the Vice President of the United States of America as from January the 20th, 2025. And so John Husted, prior to his appointment into the U.S. Senate, actually eyed the gubernatorial elections. But since then, we have the impression that we've not heard about his looking forward to running for the position of governor anymore. We've had other candidates come up. So, is it that John Hosted is no longer interested in becoming governor of Ohio, Deba?
Well, you can't really tell when the time comes, especially with.
Okay, apparently we've lost Deba there. Can you hear me, Deba?
I can hear you. Yeah,
Okay, this is Apex One Radio. We're
I can
broadcasting
hear
from
you.
the United States of America. You're listening to a special news flash that is analyzing the appointment of the new Lieutenant Governor for the state of Ohio, Jim Tressel. This appointment was announced today by Governor Mike DeWine. Let's go back and run off with Deba Wadi. Deba, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I hear you.
Apparently, we cannot hear you.
I hear you. I hear you.
Hear you, Deba. Let's try
Okay.
again and see what's going on. Deba, can you hear us now?
Yes, I hear you very well. Do
Okay,
you hear
Deba
me?
can hear us, but we cannot get him. As a matter of fact, we're going to run off this edition of the news flash on Apex One Radio. On that note, thank you so much for joining us on the program. As a reminder, the governor of Ohio, Mike DeWine, has appointed former Ohio State University football coach Jim Tressel as new lieutenant governor for the state of Ohio. That announcement was made this morning at the State House. We will come back to that story and, of course, look forward to analyzing Tressel's first 100 days in office as time unfolds. Thank you once again for listening to the special news flash produced by Marcel, Adig, and of course hosted by Ernest Kanjo from the studio of Apex One Radio. Do have a fantastic rest of the evening and keep on listening to programs on Apex One Radio. Bye for now.